working to connect a region of over 600 cultural bridges between our lands.
Good evening, I'm Alma Angeles, and you're watching ASEAN in Focus on tonight's headlines. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas is expected to revise its full-year inflation projection due to the recent surge in global oil prices. Authorities on the picturesque Thai resort island of Koh Phangan have declared the closure of a chilling murder case that has gripped the nation for the past 10 days. Police have officially identified the suspect as Spaniard Daniel Sancho and are seeking the death penalty for his alleged heinous crime. In a significant diplomatic move, President Marcos Jr. has appointed former Department of Foreign Affairs Secretary Teodoro Locsin Jr. as a special envoy to China. And satellite images show China is building an airstrip on Triton Island in the South China Sea, a disputed territory claimed by China, Vietnam, and Taiwan. And in a bid to bolster sports promotion and development, President Marcos has announced the suspension of classes across all levels in public schools and government work in Metro Manila and Bulacan on August 25. The move is aimed at facilitating the grand opening of the FIBA Basketball World Cup 2023. The Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas expected to revise its full-year inflation projection due to the recent surge in global oil prices. Deputy Governor Francisco Daquila Jr. will present an updated inflation outlook to the Monetary Board during the central bank's policy-setting meeting.
Actually, there might be a slight upward revision in the inflation outlook because of the developments. Again, external developments, mostly in oil.
The BSP's most recent assessment showed an average inflation rate of 5.4% for this year, but this is likely to be revised higher due to the recent increase in oil prices. Oil prices have been rising due to a combination of factors, including production cuts by the OPEC and its allies, and an uptick in global demand. In addition to the rise in oil prices, the BSP is also facing other challenges, such as the ongoing war in Ukraine and the global economic slowdown. These factors could also contribute to higher inflation in the Philippines.
The core inflation, as the governor said yesterday, core inflation is the measure of inflation over which monetary policy has a greater influence. Core inflation is still much higher compared to the headline inflation numbers. So what we are very careful in ensuring is that inflation expectations remain anchored to the inflation target. So we want to guard against any disanchoring of inflation expectations. The adjustments will have some impact on growth, but we are estimating that the growth impact has so far been minimal. For every 25 basis points increase in the policy rate, the reduction in growth would be at around just 1 basis point.
Authorities on the picturesque Thai resort island of Koh Phangan have declared the closure of a chilling murder case that has gripped the nation for the past 10 days. Police have officially identified the suspect as Spaniard Daniel Sancho and are seeking the death penalty for his alleged heinous crime. The victim, Colombian surgeon Edwin Arrieta, met a gruesome fate, and Thai law enforcement authorities assert there is no room for doubt regarding Sancho's culpability. Police investigators reveal a harrowing sequence of events. Allegedly, Sancho fatally stabbed Arrieta in the chest, and as the victim collapsed, he struck his own head against a sink, in their hotel. Subsequently, Sancho is said to have dismembered Arrieta's body before discarding the remains in local waste. Adding to the mounting evidence against Sancho, security footage captured him purchasing knives and cleaning supplies from a local supermarket merely days before the tragic incident. In a startling twist, he even discarded the purchase receipts in the same bin bag where the victim's remains were eventually found. In a significant diplomatic move, President Marcos Jr. has appointed former Department of Foreign Affairs or DFA Secretary Teodoro Locsin Jr. as a special envoy to China. Mr. Locsin will be tasked with addressing special concerns between the two nations, which have been experiencing escalating tensions in recent months. The appointment comes against the backdrop of recent strain, notably involving the BRP Sierra Madre stationed in the Ayungin Shoal. Mr. Locsin will continue to serve as the Philippine ambassador to the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. He's a career diplomat who has held a number of high-level positions in the DFA, including undersecretary and a DFA spokesperson. Mr. Locsin is also known for his strong stance on territorial integrity. As DFA Secretary, he filed over 400 protests against China for its incursions into Philippine waters. He has also been known for his colorful and outspoken rhetoric, which has often irked Chinese officials. It remains to be seen how Locsin will approach his new role as special envoy to China. However, his appointment is a clear signal that President Marcos is committed to resolving the outstanding issues between the two countries. Meanwhile, satellite images show China is building an airstrip on Triton Island in the South China Sea, a disputed territory claimed by China, Vietnam, and Taiwan. The images taken by Planet Labs PBC and analyzed by the Associated Press show the construction of a runway that is over 600 meters long. This is long enough to accommodate turboprop aircraft and drones, but not fighter jets or bombers. Triton Island is strategically located at an equal distance from the coastlines of Vietnam and China's Hainan Island province. China has long maintained a presence on the island, but the new airstrip would give it a significant military advantage. The U.S. has not staked a claim to sovereignty over the South China Sea, but it has sent Navy ships on freedom of navigation operations near Chinese-held territories. Triton Island became the focal point of such a mission in 2018. China has denied allegations that it is militarizing the South China Sea. But the construction of the airstrip on Triton Island is a clear sign of its intentions. The waters of the South China Sea are a lifeline for approximately $5 trillion in annual trade, and the construction of the airstrip is likely to further increase tensions in the region. A civilian cargo ship departed from Ukraine's southern port of Odessa on Wednesday, defying Russia's warnings that it could be targeted by naval fire. The move is a further escalation of tensions between the two countries and could lead to a standoff between the vessel and Russian warships. The ship, the Hong Kong-flagged Joseph Schult, is carrying a load of grain. It is one of the first ships to leave Odessa since Russia withdrew from a UN brokered deal to guarantee safe passage for grain shipments from Ukrainian ports. The deal collapsed last month after Russia accused Ukraine of failing to remove mines from its waters. Ukraine has denied the accusation and has accused Russia of using the mines as a pretext to block grain exports. The Russian military has said that it will not target civilian ships in the Black Sea, but it has also warned that it will respond to any attempt to breach its naval blockade. It's unclear what will happen if the Joseph Schultz is intercepted by Russian warships. The incident comes amid a wider escalation of tensions between Russia and Ukraine. On Tuesday, Ukraine reported the liberation of a village in the south as part of its ongoing effort to push back Russian forces. Russia has also stepped up its attacks on Ukrainian infrastructure, including grain facilities. The situation in the Black Sea is a major flashpoint in the war. If Russia is able to block grain exports from Ukraine, it could cause a a global food crisis. And the UN has warned that up to 181 million people could face hunger if the blockade continues. The price of food commodities on the global market rose sharply in July, with wheat and rice prices experiencing notable hikes. The United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, or FAO, attributed the rise in food prices to a combination of factors, and that includes market uncertainty triggered by Russia's withdrawal from the Black Sea Initiative. The FAO's latest monthly update revealed a 1.3% increase in average food commodity prices for July. This is the first time in several months that global food prices have increased. The increase was driven by a sharp rise in wheat and vegetable oil prices, which rose by 5.6% and 4.1% respectively. Maize and sugar prices, on the other hand, declined by 1.1% and 0.4% respectively. However, the FAO emphasized that overall prices remain nearly 12% lower than they were a year ago. The FAO's chief economist, Maximo Torero, warned that the rise in food prices is a cause for concern and could have a substantial impact on food security.
Hunger has stalled and even declined in some countries in Asia and Latin America in 2022. These are good news. And these seem to have benefited relatively more from the economic rebound after the COVID-19 pandemic. This is not observed for Western Asia, the Caribbean, and all subregions of Africa. Those are bad news. Just as the global economic conditions appear to be more favorable for 2022 and the prospects of the reduction in hunger and food insecurity towards pandemic levels seem possible, the outbreak of the war in Ukraine sent another shock through the global economy, exacerbating the prices of food. Prices have been affected, and it had affected hunger numbers. As noted, global food commodity prices were rising steadily before the war, but the war exacerbated the situation, creating a new surge in food prices. Given the resulting rise in food import costs because of the increase in prices, countries that are highly dependent on food imports have been particularly affected. Increasing food prices and general inflation has also affected the poorest segments of the population, who spend a larger share of their income on food.
The FAO's warning comes at a time when food security is already a major concern in many parts of the world. The war in Ukraine has disrupted food production and exports, and the ongoing drought in Africa is also threatening food supplies. The FAO is calling on governments to take steps to address the rise in food prices, and these steps could include increasing food production, providing food assistance to those in need, and ensuring that markets are functioning properly. Embattled officials in Hawaii are facing scrutiny over their response to a deadly wildfire that claimed over 110 lives in Lahaina, Maui. Now, the officials defended their choice not to activate emergency sirens, asserting that sounding alarms would not have saved lives. The inferno devastated Lahaina, leaving some residents unaware of the danger until they saw flames firsthand. Herman Andaya, head of Maui's Emergency Management Agency, explained that the sirens are primarily designated for tsunami warnings, with the public trained to seek higher grounds in such events. He expressed concerns that activating the sirens during the wildfire might have led people towards the fire.
Do you want him to give you the answer, or do you want to give? Well, then let him finish. Let him finish his answer.
Sorry, there's a lot of people.
Well, you're talking and you're not letting him talk. If you want to talk, come up here.
I'm ready for the answer.
Then wait.
The sirens, as I had mentioned earlier, is used primarily for tsunamis, and that's the reason why many of them are found, almost all of them are found on the coastline. The public is trained to seek higher ground in the event that the siren is sounded. In fact, on the website of the Hawaii Emergency Management Agency, the following guideline is provided. If you are in a low-lying area near the coastline, evacuate to high grounds, inland or vertically to the fourth floor and higher of a concrete building. Alerts may also come in the form of a wireless emergency alert. Had we sounded the siren that night, we're afraid that people would have gone mauka. And if that was the case, then they would have gone into the fire.
Hawaii's Governor Josh Green initiated an investigation into the disaster's handling, aiming to identify lessons for the future. Now, survivors have voiced their frustration with what they perceive as a sluggish government response. Concerns have been raised about the slow pace of body recovery efforts and the apparent hindrance preventing them from returning to their homes. Disaster officials, however, have reacted strongly to suggestions that local residents have lost faith in their efforts.
Let me just say to you, I can't answer why people don't trust people. There's bad people in the community. There's bad cops, there's good cops, there's bad priests, good priests, bad media, good media. My guess is you verify all of your sources before you print or write. You make sure that those folks are accurate, that are giving you answers. Anybody can stand there and say, oh, I hear this, I heard this, somebody said this. If you want to verify it and give a name and you tell me the name of the person who said that, where they live, if they're from here, if they're from somewhere else, that might help you with who to trust. The people that were trying to put out these fires lived in those homes. 25 of our firefighters lost their homes that they were trying to put out. You think they were trying to do a halfway job? You think the people that live here that are helping don't care that they're trying? I mean, you spend a lot of time in here, but go out in the field. Get off your phone. Get off your tablet. Go and talk to people.
As recovery efforts unfold, specially trained dogs are aiding the search for victims in the disaster zone, which spans over a third of the area. The death toll is expected to rise as search operations continue. Deanne Criswell, administrator of the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, acknowledged the challenges faced by search teams, describing the operation as demanding and lengthy.
This is a really hard disaster, and this is a really difficult search operation. Because of the conditions and the fire debris, the dogs have to navigate the heat. They have to deal with issues with their paws, walking through glass and debris. And in these conditions, the dogs require frequent rest, which is why we are sending in additional dogs to augment the operation. Now, I want to be honest with everyone. This is also going to be a very long and hard recovery. But our federal, state, and local partners are working around the clock to help all of those who have been impacted by this disaster. From the beginning of this event, my regional administrator has been on the ground and has been leaning forward to support those in need.
Vietnamese electric vehicle maker VinFast made a splash on the Nasdaq stock exchange, with its shares soaring to a valuation of over $85 billion. This put the company's market capitalization ahead of established automotive giants Ford and General Motors. VinFast is the first Vietnamese automotive brand to break into the U.S. market. The company has two electric vehicle models, the VF8 and the VF9, which have received over 10,000 orders in the U.S. VinFast's success is due in part to its bold move to go public on the Nasdaq. And this gives the company access to capital and resources that will help it expand its global footprint. VinFast also has plans to build a factory in North Carolina and expand its showrooms in Canada and Europe. Analysts are bullish on VinFast's future, citing the company's strong management team and ambitious growth plans. However, some experts have warned that VinFast will face challenges from established rivals such as Tesla and Ford. The company plans to start production at its North Carolina factory in 2025. VinFast has ambitious plans to expand its global footprint with showrooms in Canada and Europe. In a bid to bolster sports promotion and development, President Marcos Jr. has announced the suspension of classes across all levels in public schools and government work in Metro Manila and Bulacan on August 25. The move is aimed at facilitating the grand opening of the FIBA Basketball World Cup 2023. Presidential Communications Secretary Cheloy Garafil revealed that President Marcos, through Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin, signed Memorandum Circular 27 on Tuesday. Now, this circular mandates the suspension of classes and government operations for the FIBA 2023 opening ceremony scheduled to unfold at the renowned Philippine Arena in Bocaue, Bulacan. However, crucial government agencies responsible for delivering essential services, disaster preparedness, response, and other other vital functions will remain operational to ensure the continuity of these services. President Marcos emphasized that this suspension aligns with the government's commitment to fostering greater participation in sports and supporting the Philippine Sports Commission. Furthermore, organizers have confirmed President Marcos's presence at the opening ceremonies, further cementing the significance of this sporting event on the national stage. As my usual habit, I'd like to end the day on a positive note. Let's encourage and build each other up so that no one is left behind. And that's it for tonight's broadcast. I'm Alma Angela. Stay in the news because we live in extraordinary times. Good night.